And we are live. Welcome, everyone. My name is Felipe from the Instantly team. At Instantly, we have more than 25,000 B2B clients sending cold emails from all over the world. I have more than 10 years of experience sending cold emails. And here, I have the great Sander Aavik. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. I'm really bad with names. But today, he's going to be telling us how he gets a 15% reply rate. That's right. You heard that right. Out of every 100 emails, he's getting 15 people replying back at him. And even more interesting, on one of his campaigns, he got over a thousand opportunities. He was actually telling me that in total he's gotten close to 5,000 across all of his campaigns. So anyways, he's going to be sharing his whole secret sauce today so you can start 2025 killing it with outbound. How are you doing today, Sander?
Good. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear the results you're achieving. I'm also glad to hear you're well. I believe you were recently in the Dominican Republic. You were in holidays. It's also great to hear that, people like yourself who are crushing it with cold outbound still get to enjoy life a little bit. It's important to disconnect and recharge batteries. But let's go straight into the important topic. How did you achieve a 15% reply rate? Let's begin from what does your company do? What do you guys do, and how do you get to where you are today? So that way people understand a bit the context behind your results.
Yeah. So to give you some context, I have 5 years of experience with cold email, and 4 years ago we started scaling vDesign. It was at zero level at that time. And with 4 years, we managed to grow it to 1.2 million annual revenue. We've got I don't know, close to 700 customers with that time, and most of our revenue comes from web development, and we are just adding new services. And in the beginning of this year, we added lead generation, cold email, LinkedIn lead generation as a service, because this was the source that helped us to grow, I would say, relatively fast. And then we figured that it would be a great source of recurring revenue for us, and just to add a new service with more revenue.
Interesting. Well, yeah. I think what you guys are doing is pretty smart, because I think a lot of companies, they think that only via one channel you can achieve results, but mixing different channels is understanding that I think we all pretty much engage via different platforms before we make a purchase. So whether it's paid ads or cold email or LinkedIn outreach, you are reminding people that you exist all the time until you just catch them at the perfect time so they can make a purchase, right? So I think that's a very smart approach. And so how long have you guys been doing cold outbound? When you guys start?
I would say that we started right away when we started vDesign. I guess I was doing cold calls for about a month or so, and then I wanted to launch the campaigns as quickly as possible. Well, I had been doing cold email before that as well in another company. That's where I learned it initially from my Polish friends. And yeah, so for vDesign, we've been doing 4 years and 2 or 3 months in total. And during that time, oh boy, cold email has changed so much. Everybody knows the deliverability and everything's changed a lot. Like back in the days, we got one domain, we put 15 email accounts and 100 emails per day per email in per inbox, and it was doing fine actually. And over time, the results just got worse and worse and worse. And then at some point, it was even on a back burner. But then I started to actually measure really detailed what kind of results are we actually getting, because we knew we were getting results, but if you have 10 salespeople, then the data was kind of scattered. So I put it all together. And what's really cool, what I found out was that when we had sent like 250,000 emails within like first 3 years that we were operating, then every 107th email brought us a lead, and 1 out of 20 leads converted into a paying customer. And our paying customer, I think it was around 4,000 at that time, 4,000 euros. And so what I figured out is that every email that we're sending out generates us about 2 euros and 11 cents or something like that. And then at that point, I was like so sure, oh, we need to send more emails this year.
Yeah, that is very interesting, because I think a lot of people, they kind of miss that point, that it's very important to calculate the ROI of all of your initiatives, and I think you just did it perfectly. Like the way you calculate your funnel. Okay, I need to send this many emails in order to book this many meetings, out of which this many of those will actually convert into sales worth this much, right? And then once you understand that, you understand how much money you can put into it to keep scaling that channel. And I think that applies for every channel, but like for cold email specifically, I think you have the right mindset. Like every email makes me 2 euros. That's very
Yeah,
solid.
like if you don't know your numbers, then like you're driving in the dark with no headlights on, or like on the contrast, if you know your numbers, you can give so much assurance to your target customers that, hey, we've sent like 500,000 emails, and we know that every 80th email we're generating a lead, and we know that this can vary, and you can compare based on your previous campaigns, like how they compare to those, and say like, I think that 1 out of 200 emails or 1 out of 150 is gonna generate a lead for you. So if you do 3,000 emails a month, you're gonna get 20 leads a month, and it's just pure math.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. So how about we jump straight into the secret sauce? So, by the way, this is a LinkedIn post you made. In case people are not following you, I guess they can follow you. Since you're an instantly certified expert, I guess you have a lot of very interesting content to post. But this is a campaign you did using Instantly very recently. This is the one where you got 15.7% reply rate, 1,000 opportunities. You told me that now it's more because this was a month ago. And I love how you made a summary of the things that work for you, right? But I think we can go a bit deeper in this campaign specific, or in generally in what's working for you. And by the way, love to see that the post went viral. 167 likes, 75 comments, 8 shares. That's amazing. But yeah, how did you achieve these results? Like, this is absolutely fantastic. You know, I love seeing these success stories.
Yeah, so I'll break it down for you. I was even making some notes just in case for that. So in general, I would say that we have a pretty fundamental approach. Just just focus on the basics. To be honest, that like your goal is to bring highly relevant offers to a, usually you want to bring it to a small target group, and then once you deplete it, you just take a new one. So yeah, we always try to go from broad offers to niche offers. So for example, when we're offering web design, instead of offering it for everybody, you write the personalized letter to all the logistics companies and send all your examples of past work for this niche, for example. So that's how we sell web design. Or and other industries, it also, like if it's a B2B SaaS product and it applies for multiple personas, then choose one persona and write an email that is really relevant to them. Like maybe this could be done even better through Clay and like AI based copy, but I don't know. Right now we're just doing niche segmentation mostly. Yeah, I think this is helping us. Then our copywriting it's also just focused on fundamentals. Uh, we want our emails to really sound handwritten, so that it's not like doesn't feel like marketing. So you just want the subject line and the first line, the preview of the email has to get the recipient to open it. And then, you just, the call to action, you go for low friction call to actions. You like instead of going straight, like, of course it depends. For some customer, it just makes sense to book a meeting, but for others, it's, if you're going for smaller commitment from the recipient, like sending extra information or sending them an offer or pricing list or video that requires less effort for them, you can get them to engage, and then you can, like, after the engagement, you can go for a meeting, for example. And they're like, deliverability wise as well, you just focus again on the fundamentals, the small details, such as the sending limits, sending like 30 emails per day per inbox, like 3 to 6 emails per domain, like 3 to 6 inboxes per domain. And you warm up your accounts, you send plain text, no HTML emails, no pictures, no links ideally, and not tracking open rates if possible, and using spin tags. I mean, that's about the fundamentals. But to be honest, I think some of our success, this 15% reply rate, maybe it's not so, how to say, maybe it's not so easily replicable for everybody, because we are actually very focused on the European market. And like, of course, like we're gonna have like some campaigns, or we already have some campaigns where we're sending outside of the European Union as well, and we're already seeing that reply rates in other countries and in English are often lower than 15%. And these kinds of reply rates that we're achieving, we're actually, by the way, some of our campaigns were even getting like 60% or 50% or 40%.
50%. That is crazy.
Yeah, I could open up a campaign and show you, like,
Yeah, I would love to see that. So while you opened that campaign, I think a few points that I would like to add. So first off, congratulations. Second, I think you're right about that. Like the more you focus on a niche, the more likely you are to resonate with your audience. I think sometimes people just go way too broad with their emails. So they just, for example, let's say you're selling SEO services, and then when people are pitching their service, they're just, and I get emails like this very often actually, from people just pitching their services or themselves, and they just explain to me that they sell a drill, but I don't need a drill. I need a hole on the wall, right? And a lot of people, they're not capable of explaining in the simplest way possible why will I need their services. Like they need to create a need or remind me of my pain point in order for me to get, to be interested in replying back, right? So a lot of people, they kind of forget the importance of niches when it comes to resonating with people, because when you are targeting a niche, then if you are sending a sort of like a broad message, that broad message will resonate with that industry and audience, because the entire group of people that you are targeting will have a somewhat similar pain point. So that is why I believe your campaigns are working so well in Europe and in certain industries, because you probably understand really well in that geographical and basically in those countries and in that industry what works and what doesn't. And I'm pretty certain, because I've seen it actually, in the US and in other English-speaking countries, and myself, sometimes I also sell call outbound in the US and in other countries. And I'm able to get also close to 10% reply rate. I'm happy to show it as well. But it's very targeted, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to relevance. If your email is very relevant to the person reading it, then like that's why it doesn't surprise me when I see people like yourself getting a 15% reply rate. So yeah, you can, if you want to share your campaign,
Mhm.
free to do
I
so.
I found some campaigns with 55% reply
Wow,
rate.
that
Uh,
is pretty insane.
yeah, I'm trying to find like the biggest ones, but let's take this one. One of our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, can I share my screen?
Yeah, of course. You can click down on present and share.
Present them.
Yeah,
Present share screen.
yeah. But
Yeah.
also something very interesting, I think from your strategy is that you are able to calculate the ROI. You keep it simple, like you keep it straight to the basics, right? You just focus on the fundamentals, and then you scale from there. So that is something that a lot of people forget. They kind of like start shooting everywhere. They like add links to their emails. They don't care about text only. They add like images, tracking pixels, and then they complain that their campaigns are not working. Whereas you're like, I'm just gonna focus on the fundamentals, calculate very carefully what I'm doing, and then keep scaling from there, right? So I'm just not surprised on what I'm seeing. But so this is a very targeted campaign with a 51.9% reply rate. That is insane. And 10 out of those 50% say yes. So
So I would say that the group that we reached out to is relatively small. So okay, maybe it's not so fancy, or but then still look at the amount of opportunities.
right,
Like you don't have to care that the group is so small if you generate so good results.
right.
But of
And
course, this was the best group, I think. Or oh wait, I think I have a better one even for this customer. So this was a conference, sustainability conference, and we found all the companies who have a sustainability initiative on LinkedIn. Like if basically even using Apollo's keyword search and
mhm,
typing in sustainability keywords, and we found those companies, and then we found all the people at those companies who have sustainability keywords in their job title. So I believe that was the best target group. And but then secondly, we found all the marketing people, all the salespeople, and all the founders and CEOs.
right. That's this is very interesting because if you were to scale this up, like you could probably like keep getting consistent results.
Oh,
Maybe not a 50% reply rate if you email like 10,000 people, but I'm pretty sure if you follow this same method, you can get some pretty insane results.
yeah, like check this out. I found the gold mine 66.7% reply rate, and we got 30 opportunities out of 90 leads. Uh,
Yeah, that's
this was
amazing. Are you sure you're not emailing these people like free beer or free money or something like that? Because this is pretty insane.
no,
This is
I
crazy.
can share. Okay, this one is in Estonian, but I
Right.
can show you that there's also not all of their campaigns were in native language. So, by the way, this is also one point that I wanted to mention about the European countries. If your copywriting is in local language, that does help. It makes you more trustworthy. Like you're not an outsider from an outside the country, uh, but you're speaking in their native language. And even if you don't speak the local language, you could just use either auto translate like Google Translate or similar. And if you have ideally a native speaker looking it over, and in the end of the email uh, that uh, you can write that are you willing to continue the conversation in English if you don't
Right.
speak the native language? And in those cases also the response rate is very very high.
Right. Actually, I have a better one for you. If and this makes a lot of sense, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I don't think, again, it has to do just with the geography. I think it just has to do, like you said, with people feeling like you understand that you know who they are because they are either based in a certain country or because based there from a certain industry. So if you speak their language, and it doesn't have to be like language as what we speak, as our mother tongue, but it can be also as the sort of like the slang we use in a certain industry. So, for example, if you're targeting people in the finance industry, and then you're using more or less like the same slang or wording that they use, and then you are actually touching those pain points that are very relevant for people in that industry, I wouldn't be surprised to see similar results. Of course, like targeting by geography is much easier, right? Like if you are like sending a campaign in their local language, it's like much more broad. But if you were to send campaigns in an English speaking market, you can definitely play around with like the job titles and the industries and try to make sure that the email campaigns looks extremely relevant for just that profile, right? The other thing that I think could be a good hack, and I would love for people to try it out, would be to maybe use ChatGPT to translate your emails, whether it's for a local language because you're targeting a country outside of like the US, let's say in Europe, or maybe to ask ChatGPT, I want to send this campaign. Please word it in a way that is relevant for this profile, right? Like I'm targeting CEOs in the finance industry. If I was a CEO in the finance industry, how could this email be relevant to me? What is the right wording and language and slang that they use? And just try it out. Maybe see what ChatGPT will spit out. I think you will be surprised. And same for the language. And maybe mix both. Let's say you're sending a campaign in Spain or Estonia, or a country where you don't speak the language. Ask ChatGPT. Just tell ChatGPT, translate this email, make it sound as natural as possible. Because sometimes Google Translate, it can sound a bit off. But just make it sound as natural as possible in the local language. Because also, I believe that certain countries, they can be a bit formal. Like if you send a cold email in France, they like to be addressed very formally, like bonjour, monsieur, and then last name, and they are very formal in the way they write emails. I think Germans as well, like they like to use the job title when you address someone. So they can be there can be a lot of formalities on the way you craft emails. I don't know about Estonia, but it would be good to ask ChatGPT for help to like align your email culturally to like either the industry or the country you're targeting, right? So this is fantastic. And one more thing I forgot to mention. I think this could be a good hack. At Instantly, we also in the Unibox, where you get all of the replies, we actually recently did an improvement on the reply detection. So now it's 40% more accurate, and it detects any language, right? So if you were to send a campaign in another country, just to try it out, right? Like say you're always selling in the English speaking market, now you want to try another market, another language. Now everyone probably starts spamming Estonia. I think after this live webinar, like, they're like, "Oh, Estonia is where I can get 60% reply rates."
Yeah,
Um,
we're actually we got the 60. Yeah, that was in Estonia, but the other countries as well, like Latvia, Lithuania, and Finland, the reply rates were actually over there as well. They were really really good.
right. No, amazing. This
Yeah,
is
like
great.
I have filters here. So Latvia did also 45.7, Lithuania 30.1, and then Finland is the worst. They're always on vacation. I promise. Literally, they're always out of office.
I guess that's their secret for productivity and happiness and a good educational system. Just take days off.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now this is very interesting. So okay, so let's go back a little bit into your process. Okay, so you pretty much right prepare like these campaigns based on how you calculate the ROI, you follow the best practices. But what is next for your team? So once you get these results, what do you guys do in order to ensure that you close a sale? Do you have any specific process? Like, do you call these people? Like, what is next on the funnel for you guys?
Yeah, good question. Since yeah, we run, like, just to clarify, we run campaigns for ourselves, and we have now I think we have about 20 active customers we're running campaigns for. And for ourselves, we actually have a sales background at least. Like I was in the US, I was doing door-to-door sales. I was selling educational books door-to-door. Like it was learning systems basically, like stacks of
Nice.
books. And a set would usually cost like, I don't know, around 600 euros, I think was the average customer or so.
Nice.
So
Where
yeah.
where in the US? So you were selling door to door in the US, and your
Yeah, yeah,
main language is not English, I assume. So that's
yeah,
very like I have to say that you need to have a lot of attitude in order to do something like that. So yeah,
yeah,
respect.
definitely. So I actually did 3 summers in the US, door-to-door sales. I did first summer was in Albuquerque, so that's New Mexico. Uh, then a second summer in Texas. I was near Fort Worth,
Nice.
and third summer was Charleston, South Carolina. And I was there. I was already like leading a group as well. So basically, it was kind of like basically it was like a direct sales program, and you're kind of recruiting people on to do it as well. And it was an experience. Like I
Nice.
actually, considering I'm from Eastern Europe, I would say that it was okay money, but the experience, that's the main thing about
Yeah.
it. So basically, going back to your question, how are we dealing with the leads? Um, so I just wanted to cover, we have a sales background, and also like a background in how to lead sales processes. So internally, our process is usually this, that we just direct all the responses to one inbox of one salesperson, and we just let them manage it. Like for us, it's been just a lot easier. But of course, I appreciate Instantly's Unibox so much. It just saves so much time, and yeah, I can say that it works well in Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian, Finnish, like foreign languages. It's not only English. Um, so yeah, the leads go to the salesman directly, and then uh, the goal is to set up a meeting, or to qualify like how interested this customer is, or find out what they need, mm, and and just follow up with them. Just pretty basic B2B sales process. It does take around. It can take like 1 or 2 weeks to convert, but often it takes month or two or more for the lead to convert. And sometimes we're,
That's
yeah. I want to say one really
yeah.
cool
That's still
thing
a pretty
about
yeah. Go on.
sending
Sorry.
emails in Estonia is that we have already sent emails to most of everybody, or most of the total addressable market, let's say. But we're reusing this database. They've already seen emails from us before. And of course, a lot of people are still not interested. But it this like we're learning like what's the good space to keep between the outreach cadences. And yeah, we don't want to piss off our audience, let's say, or our market. So have to keep it
Yeah.
reasonable. And sometimes we're referring back to the last outreach, which works really great.
Right. I think that so a few points there, right? So I love
Yeah,
it how short is your sales cycle. I think like 2 weeks to like 2 months is still like a very good sales cycle, right? Because some sales cycles can take up to a year, right? So that's super healthy, right? If especially if you can keep this momentum of like leads and like people interested. The other thing is I like how you keep your process simple. I think some people like they can overcomplicate it a little bit, but I think it's as simple as like you have now people interested in your product. Go chase them, go after them, and you just make sure that they convert. we did a last webinar with one agency owner that I asked him the same question, right? And he told, and I asked him, so what do you do with people who like reply back with interest, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to close those sales. And he told me we follow up with them until they say no. And he meant it. He was like forever. It's like they get they go basically they push them into a subsequence, because instantly you can have subsequences or you can keep contacting people where they will just keep getting emails for eternity, pretty much, like until they just say no or yes or no, right? Because if they've shown interest, right, why should I stop? Like I just need to keep reminding them about my services, maybe push an offer, a deal here and there, like maybe offer a call. Like obviously every email is different. You don't want to sound too repetitive, because at that point it's annoying, it's spammy, right? So what he does is he sends an email like every couple of weeks, reminding them that they exist, with a new deal, with a new offer, with a new something, with value, something aligned maybe to what like they kind of pitch initially. And then based on that, he just doesn't stop following up. He calls the prospects as well. So yeah, I just love his approach. Very simple. Just don't give up. Persistence. So yeah, that's like the second point there. So I love how your team just keeps it lean and simple. Just
Yeah.
straight.
But on the contrast, the customers we're running campaigns for, so we don't deal with the leads for them, or we don't close the sales for them, and that is continuing to be a pain point at this time. That just we learned that so many of our customers, they haven't established their sales processes yet, or they're just not organized, or maybe they don't even have a dedicated person to deal with the leads. So yeah, in that
Yeah.
case, we're just trying to find like who's the ideal customer for us, and just do our best. And yeah.
Yeah. I, I actually, this doesn't surprise me. It's not the first time I hear it from an agency owner, where yeah, like you would like give leads to your clients, and then your clients would be like a bit unsatisfied that they're not closing sales, but they just assume that because someone replied with interest, like they will like swipe their credit card. But I think they just forget that people are just busy all the time. So you just need to remind them that you exist, and maybe it's not the right sales cycle. And I think that's why the point you just mentioned is so relevant. Like recycling databases is super important. Like because I always use myself as an example, right? If you email me right now a package for vacations, I will not buy now. I'll probably save the email for like June or July, when it's like, vacation time, or maybe a bit before, so I buy like a month or two in advance. But now it's not the right time. Doesn't mean I'm not interested, but the timing is off. So I think the same happens with cold email. If you send a cold email to somebody through different times of the year, you might match that timing where the company's purchasing decision is happening. And sometimes it can be in January, sometimes it can be in June. So as you are recycling your databases, you're just testing different cycles. That doesn't mean you should email them every day, right? But if you like recycle them every couple of weeks or months, right? Like what I like doing in my campaigns personally is I like sending 3 cold emails, right? 1 and 2 follow-ups. That's obviously personal, with a 3 to 5 day
We do
delay between
the
each email. You do the same? Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And then after 3 months, like every quarter, I repeat the same process with obviously different message and different wording. Like I change it a little bit. But I do that through even 2 years sometimes. And you will be surprised sometimes, like people like through the third quarter, they start buying like crazy for some reason, because something happened that just in that industry, everyone is just making the purchasing decisions. Which is, so that method definitely works. Like just never give up on a list of contacts, especially since you already scraped the data. So I think that's a pretty smart approach.
Yeah, so great to share the time with you, Felipe, since you're also a veteran in the field. Like, I'm also thinking that we should do more subsequences, and once we generate the lead, then relentlessly perhaps send more emails. But of course, then we need to consider how it goes along with salesperson dealing with it, but yeah, it's some good ideas.
Yeah, of course. So we are also answering a few questions here from the community.
Yeah,
How are you with time, by the way? Are you with time? Just to
I'm great.
Okay.
I've booked my time.
Okay, perfect. Just double checking. Perfect. So here is a question from Jacob. So he's basically asking, what is the right amount of email accounts per domain? Because he's saying that you mentioned 3 to 6 email accounts per domain. 6 emails sounds like a lot. So yeah, what do you recommend? What's the volume, the sending volume you recommend? Maybe we can go back to the basics a little bit for
Yeah, yeah.
people.
So I generally wouldn't recommend to use 6 email accounts per domain, but it's a little bit depends of what kind of service provider we're using, and yeah, like we just have some certain providers that we prefer to use 6 email accounts per domain, but we definitely don't want to go over that. It rather you can just to have more domains and less email accounts per domain. Yeah, like whenever we're using Google, then we would never do like more than 3 email accounts per domain. Okay, actually, no, we do have some examples where we still have 6. I mean, I guess it's more from the from like what we used to do, and like so far we haven't had problems having 6 email accounts per domain as well, but 3 is, I guess, what everybody is recommending. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, at least from our side, from Instantly, like I think you're right. Like we recommend anywhere from 2 to 5 email accounts per domain. I think that's a good amount. Like that's like playing it somewhat safe. And in terms of sending volume, we usually recommend scaling your sending volume up. So, for example, at Instantly, we have a feature that is sending ramp up. And if you enable that feature, we will increase by 1 email a day your cold email sending. So that way you enable that, and then the system will automatically start scaling your sending volume day by day very safely. So I will strongly recommend you using that option and maybe setting like a maximum of like 30 emails per day. So if you're scaling by 1 email a day, by the end of a month, you will have reached that 30 emails per day, and your domain and accounts will be like, like warm up. At the end, so what you want to try to achieve is build reputation in front of Google, Outlook, and all the domain registers, right? You want to look like you're a reliable sender, and a reliable sender starts slowly ramping up volume. And that kind of makes sense because the last thing you want is a scammer or someone sending a bunch of phishing emails from day one, sending just a million emails with with a scammy offer. That's what the email servers and the spam filters are trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent someone sending millions of scam emails, right? So that's why they want people to mimic human-like behavior and to send slowly high-quality emails and then build a reputation. So that is the reasoning behind all of this. But that's a great question, Jacob. So next question by Finn. So you said earlier that you always use plain text emails. How do you go about sending a personalized video setup on a landing page where they can book a calendar straight away? So how about you tell us a bit about your process, the combination between plain text for deliverability, but also like maybe these other strategies that maybe are part of your funnel.
yeah. I guess after Google's recent updates, I don't remember, was it in April or something like that? Then we started to see like a drop in open rates, and just everybody on LinkedIn started talking about it. That it like if you're sending a big volume, then it's not a good idea to do it, and we actually started noticing our customers' campaigns. Whenever somebody responded to it in the subject line, there was like potential spam or spam warnings, and a lot of responses was like, "Oh, I saw your email in the spam." So that's why we stopped tracking open rates, and we're now really strict about not sending links as well. But then on the other hand, I've seen on like LinkedIn and YouTube people talk about it that if you have so good content or so good video sales letters, then sometimes it's best to just put it in the first email, and you'll end up having less open rate. But because the content is so good, then you'll end up converting more leads per email basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think nowadays, again, it's just going back to the basics. Text only is a must. If you ask us at Instantly, like you need to send at least the first email as text only, because what you're doing is you're reducing the chances of the email being flagged as spam because it's a safe email. So what the email servers do, they try to make sure that when you receive an email, that you're not getting a virus or anything that could harm your computer or your inbox. So they will prevent any links or anything that any files that could harm your computer into entering your computer pretty much. So the way you can protect users is if an email is text only, you cannot really hide anything there, right? You cannot hide a link, you cannot hide a file with a virus, right? So that is the whole reasoning behind why text only is more likely to land in the inbox, because it's just safer for users, right? So that's from a Google Outlook or email provider's perspective, why they prefer those kind of emails, right? But that doesn't mean that once that person replies back with interest, you cannot send a link, because once that relationship has been established, once you have an ongoing conversation, the email server will be more flexible deliverability wise. And we're seeing a lot of very successful agency owners sending the first two emails with text only, and then the third email, even the follow-up, they could include links. They will include maybe a landing page, a Calendly link, or even like a Loom video, right? A link. Ideally, you want to offer that, so when they reply to your email, then you send them back the link, and then the likelihood of landing on the inbox is much higher, right? Because then you have a natural conversation going on. So that is what should work much better. But yeah, we have seen that delivering value on an email is more likely to work. And with value, I mean you can send a cold email to people and say stuff like, "Hey, can I send you a quick video explaining how our product or service works?" People love that stuff because nobody has time for a call. Or for example, offer them like, "Hey, can I send you either a personalized video or my calendar link so you can book," right? So that way you're also saving time, the back and forth of like, "Hey, can you meet at 2? No, I can meet at 5." So this is all about saving people's times, right? So if you save, like, if you're very efficient with people's times, if you respect their time, and you just reduce the friction as much as possible, the likelihood that they respond increases considerably, right?
Yeah.
So let's go for the next question. So, does having more email accounts per domain make me more spammy? So, what's your take on this?
My take on this is that having more email accounts per domain doesn't make you spammy, but just sending more volume through the domain could potentially make it look more spammy to the email service providers.
Right. That's a great approach. Yeah, I think you nailed it there. Yeah, the domain providers, they just look at the spike on a domain basis. So the stronger the reputation for your domain, the more emails you could send. So that is why, for example, if you see like a Salesforce or like a really big enterprise sending thousands of emails a day, they can get away with it because they have such a strong domain reputation that to build that, it took them years and hundreds of thousands of real emails, and then to destroy it, it actually is not so easy, right? So it's very common. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, but you will see sometimes like the reps from the big companies sending cold emails from their main domain. For me, it's like, ooh, like if I was the CEO of like Salesforce or big companies, I would be like panicking because I wouldn't like to burn my domain reputation. But they can kind of get away with it because they just build that domain reputation. So I think that's a perfect answer. It's how you send emails and just the reputation you build for that domain, the volume you build for that domain.
And
So
also, I guess going back to the volume, even if you're sending high volume, but nobody would mark you as spam, if you're sending so relevant offers, or then also you would be in the clear. But just usually likelihood is that you're gonna be marked as spam if you have more accounts, more volume.
yeah, that's kind of funny because I think the offer is king. Like offer is the number one thing that matters here. Like I've seen some people sending cold emails that they barely follow any principles, right? They like they don't try to optimize deliverability, but they still get great results. And then they start claiming like, oh, you see, like I'm using, I don't know, SendGrid for sending cold emails and it's working fine. And it's like, yeah, it's working well because you're literally giving free money to people. Like your offer is so good that who wouldn't say no to that, right? It's probably like the campaign you show me with a 60% reply rate. Probably if someone didn't follow all the best practices, they could have gotten like 20% reply rate. And then they will be like, oh, look, I got a 20% reply on this campaign. You know, I'm killing it. Yeah, because the offer is really good. But if you were to improve your deliverability and follow the best practices, you could get a 60% reply rate like Sander just did, right? So I think that's why offer is so important. But optimizing also, you know, it's equally as important because then you can multiply those results even further. So next question by Douglas. Once you reach that safe 30 emails per day, after the first month, basically he's asking if they can slow down or like if they can like turn off that feature. I think you're referring, Douglas, to the slow ramp up feature that I just mentioned that instantly just built. So yeah, we basically, for those that didn't hear that part, we now have a feature that basically adds one email per day. So that way you can like slowly start building reputation. So you don't send like 30 emails from day one, right? You have it in the campaign settings. If you cannot find it, you can talk to our support team and we can tell you where it is exactly. But once you enable that, it will start adding one cold email per day. So that way from day one, it will go like one email, second day, two emails, and so on and so on. So by the end of a month, your sending pattern will look natural. It will look like you will start building a reputation, which is what we were just talking about here about the domain. So if it looks natural and like you're building momentum and you're building like a reputation, the chances of landing on the inbox are much higher. So yes, if you actually if you keep it enabled, it's gonna work fine. If you disable it, same thing, it's gonna send 30 emails per day. So once it reaches that amount, it's just gonna consistently keep sending that amount. You have anything to add there, Sander?
Not really. Like only that we should use it more.
Nice. Next question by Ali. I'm trying to send 10,000 emails per day per rep. Any tips on that? So what would you recommend here?
Well, sorry. So just calculate how many inboxes you need for that. So you want to have 30 emails per inbox. So 10,000 divided by 30. That means you're gonna need 300 inboxes. I think. Well, we haven't used Maildozo so much yet. We're just still trying it out because, like, back a long time ago, when I wanted to use it, then I had like a bug in their system and I couldn't use it. And then I just didn't want to use it for a while. But now everybody's talking about it, and I think. I think I would recommend probably trying out Maildozo because it's just so easy to get email accounts, but also, yeah, also you can get inside instantly system. Yeah, like, so you're just gonna need to get 333 email accounts for that per rep.
Yeah. I think it's just about scaling volume. Like, I think Ellie, you might want to follow Sander's approach of like scaling slowly. So it might be better to just start maybe focusing on first sending your first 1,000 cold emails a day, right?
So
And
yeah,
then
if you're
from
sending 1,000 and seeing what are the statistics, and so if you're not getting any results from 1,000, then well, okay, you might get well. If you're gonna send 10,000, then you just need to multiply by 10. But if
right,
you do 0 times 10, then probably you're not gonna do way more if you didn't get too much results at all. So
Right. Yeah, I think it's important, Ellie, to also focus on like Sander is doing it here, like calculated ROI and then finding the method that works for you and then scale from there, right? So once you finally figure out the winning formula, then you start scaling. And then it will all make sense to you because initially if you think like, oh, I have to buy 333 inboxes, like just like Sander was calculating for you per rep, right? So if you have, let's say, 10 reps, that's a lot of inboxes, right? But
and then
then
it costs you a lot of if you get it from instantly event, then I believe it's $5 per inbox, so that's like $1,600 a month per rep.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you are getting an ROI like Sander is getting, where he's making $3 per email sent, so that's the ROI he calculated already. So every email he sends, he makes $3, and he already calculated because he has a system built for it. So if you have a system like that, where you know the ROI you'll get for your campaigns, and then once you have that and then you are like, okay, I'm gonna spend this much on getting 300 inboxes, but it doesn't matter because I'm making like 5 times that amount, so I'm just gonna keep scaling my sending volume until it's kind of, it's not like so profitable anymore, right? But you get the point. So rather than focusing on a fixed amount per rep, I will try to build a system based on how do I build a process that allows me to keep scaling until it makes sense to me financially, right? But
I wanted to add this as well, that if you want to send 10,000 emails a month, then you need to find 10,000 contacts. Oh, wait, that's per day. So you need to find 10,000 contacts per day, and they should be relevant contacts. So, in my opinion, sending 10,000 emails per day is easier than building the lists well and properly, and yeah. So,
yeah,
so that's why you start smaller and see if you can scale it step by step. Like,
yeah,
don't go from 1 to 10, go from 1 to 2 to 4. I would do it like that, I think.
yeah.
Or
I think
like,
it's important to build relevance. Actually, we had a session a while ago with an agency owner that he sends 20 million emails per month. Can you believe that? 20 million emails per month. That is absolutely crazy. But he's extremely relevant with the email campaigns he's sending, right? So he really built a system and he just scale until he reached that point like where he can send that massive amount of volume. But he built a system for it, right? So yeah, I think that's sky is the limit, but as long as you do it carefully. So next question by Douglas. I think this is regarding what we were talking about, text only. So don't understand how can I get a lead if I don't send a link. So once again, there are many ways. You can just ask the person directly, can I send you more information? And then they say yes, then you reply back with the link. Or maybe if you want to book a meeting with them, you can say, hey, will you have 5 minutes for a meeting, right? And then they say yes, then you send your calendar link, plus you can suggest some time to me. But just what we don't recommend is just to insert a link initially on the first email, because first, it will harm your deliverability. That's the most important factor. But second, there are other ways of making it happen. You need to always think that email is a way of generating a human-like conversation. So the whole purpose behind emails is that when you write to a real person, that real person will write to you expecting a response back, because that's the psychology behind emails. It's like just talking from person to person, right? So always try to have that in mind when you're crafting the email or you're replying back. Sometimes even I make this mistake. Sometimes when I'm crafting a cold email campaign, when I read it through, it looks like I just wrote a presidential speech, like I'm like talking to people like, I am going to give you all this. I don't know why, but our minds tend to write cold emails sometimes, like if you're writing an email newsletter to 10,000 people. But you always need to think that when you're writing a cold email, you're writing an email that a single individual person will read. So that's the psychology you need to focus on. So do you have anything to add there, Sander?
yeah, like it depends what you count as a lead. Businesses are really different. So in B2B SaaS, usually I guess you would count demo meeting as a lead, or like I mean that's meeting booked. Like by the way, there's also a difference between lead and like meeting ready lead or like meeting booked. So a lead is not necessarily a meeting booked, but in other businesses, it's better if you can send an offer for your target customer, or yeah, like something similar.
Right. That's yeah. I agree with you. So Ellie, he's adding here. So I think this is the same person that was asking how to send 10,000 emails per day. This is very interesting. He said, I have a list of 500 previous applicants that I'm trying to bring back. This is way different, right? So if you have people that you've spoken to before that showed interest, yeah, you can definitely start scaling your sending, but still we will recommend you like test waters first and don't just go all in, right? Still try to build the system, right? But definitely when you have intent, I think intent and relevance are like super important. Like when people know what you're talking about, the reply rates, they usually skyrocket, which is pretty much what happened with your 60% reply rate, Sander. I think the fact that you were targeting people in the sustainability industry for like something very niche and specific, it's just relevant, so you might get very good results, Ellie, if you have that kind of like database with relevant people, but nonetheless you should still like build a system to start scaling further. But you can definitely scale that. Yep.
So, like in Ellie's case, there's multiple ways how to do it. If you have 500,000 previous applicants, you can also send them newsletters. So you have two approaches. For example, if you just want them to sign up like to a conference, for example, then you can use two channels simultaneously. You can use the newsletters to just get them to book or to buy the tickets, and you can use cold email for more personalized offers. Let's say you want to sell them like exhibition area, or you want to sell them like the big company tickets, or like if some email didn't convert, you want to get more personalized approach to them. So you can use two channels.
Nice. Love it. So next question, what's the call to action that you use for the first email? So what is your favorite call to action, or what is working best for you, Sander?
Something low friction, like just can I send you more information on this, or basically it's not even so much about the call to action, but about the value proposition, that you try to understand what does this target audience really want, and like what in my service could help them get it, or what in my service really really relieves pain for them. Or so what if you have that before the call to action, that matters even more. But otherwise I would just send them more information, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think low friction makes a lot of sense. That's what we're seeing working best. But it will obviously depend on the industry. Like there are some industries where they like to be very direct. And in fact, I've been seeing some trends now lately where people are kind of they're like because a while ago the trend was interest based call to action. So for example, you will send them a call to action that it's kind of like relevant. It's not so direct, right? Rather than asking them directly for the meeting. But lately, we are seeing a change where people are actually wanting to have a meeting if the offer is very relevant to them, right? So if you have done a really good job with targeting the right people with the right offer, where relevance is very important, maybe going straight for the meeting is not a bad idea, right? And if the people you're targeting, the way of doing business is like that, like because there are some industries where people love meetings, right? It doesn't mean they will meet with everybody, but if the right person contacts them, they will love to meet with you. So it also depends on who you are contacting.
I have a good example. Like some of our customers are just brick and mortar businesses with the physical location, and their service is like let's say physical service. They didn't have an online business. They're like, let's say it's a catering business, or something, or let's say that it's like building insulation. So we run a campaign for building insulation, and what's really cool with that is that when it's a physical location, you can reduce the friction of the lead by saying that we're going to be in X area anyways, and since we're already there, like we could give you like a free how to say price offer, or like free audit of
Yeah.
the site, and
Right.
tell you how much it would run. And that's working extremely well, like just reduce the friction. Oh, by the way, another tip that I think really is working well for some of our customers: if your goal is to book meetings or demos, be a little bit clever about this. What we found is that people are more reluctant to book for one-on-one meetings than to book for webinars or like masterclass or something like that, which you could basically, you can label it as a webinar, but essentially it's just a group demo, or you can call it a workshop or whatever, but it's just going to be a group demo.
Yeah, I mean that's something I haven't tested. Like maybe it could be interesting to like pitch people like yeah, like a focus group or like a private session with 10 people. So that way they don't feel like a high level of commitment. But then it also sounds a little bit more like VIP, like exclusive, like you know, just 10 people like meeting together. Yeah, I think that would be a very interesting approach. So here we have another question. So basically, Finn is asking, so what is the psychology behind writing an email that makes the other person feel like the email is personalized or it resonates with them? So what do you do in order to write emails that make people feel like they are personal?
Yeah, good question. It's a little bit about how it sounds, and like kind of try to make it sound coincidental. Like obviously, it's not always easy to do. Like there's so many people writing emails like, "Hey, I was on your website, da 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 da." But so I guess at least here in like European small countries in local languages, there's not so many people writing emails in such a personalized way in that manner, I guess. So yeah, I would say that part, but also like one thing what I really want to try to do is that I don't want to sell too much in the email. So because in the end it just makes it sound like salesy and marketing. So what we sometimes do is that we put all the selling arguments after the signature. So then it's more like it's like included in the signature, or like it's not something that I write it manually.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are different ways to also personalize emails. Like you have some great platforms like clay.com. They're a bit more technical and advanced. And Instantly, we have something called AI prompts. So you can basically use ChatGPT inside of Instantly in case you want to personalize using AI. You have different options. If you also have data that is coming from LinkedIn, for example, you can like scrape their activity and then write like a first line that is aligned to them. I think the best prompts I've seen is you take AI and you tell the AI, write me like 3 ideas that could work for this specific client, right? And then you let the AI understand what that person does. And also you tell the AI what you do as a company. And then it will create a very personalized message. Because, for example, if let's say I am a cold email agency and then I'm contacting people in the finance industry, maybe for people in the finance industry, there is something that is very relevant. Maybe they don't care about like cold email. I shouldn't even say cold email in my emails, but maybe they care about saving time for their sales reps, because let's say that their sales reps, they're getting paid, let's say $200,000 in New York, something like that, right? So at the end of the day, you just want your reps to be more efficient. So let's say you send an email to a sales director of a finance company in New York and you tell them, hey, I know that the cost per hour of each one of your sales reps is this much money, right? Because that's salaries in New York. I'm going to save you this much money by just taking care of all of that. It's gonna cost you a fraction of your team's time. So instead of having 10 reps doing these outbound campaigns, I will take care of that for like a fraction of the money, and then your team will just focus on closing and bringing you more deals. So if you present it like that to a decision maker, it's a no-brainer, right? And then you don't have to say call email, you don't have to explain deliverability. They care is just their actual pain point and problems. So I think personalization, it all has to do with who you're talking to. If you can get an AI to do it for you, great. But yeah, obviously you can play around with that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to say that so that's what I would consider just trying to write an email that sounds personal, but what you described, I would call it more I don't know, like relevancy based personalization. So obviously that, like if you have that, then you don't need to, yeah, you don't even need to, like, that does a lot of the heavy lifting of the email. For example, we run a campaign for B2B SaaS that does digital signing, and there's like digital document signing softwares. There's a lot of competitors, by the way, and we're still running campaigns for them. And what we found, like we started to, or we wanted to guess, like, who is making a lot of contracts, what kind of companies. So then we found all the companies that are exporting to various countries, let's say from Estonia. So we gathered this data from our national business registry, how much revenue they're doing in certain countries. And then we ran a super personalized campaign. Hey, I saw you're selling to, I don't know, like Sweden, Netherlands, etc. And yeah, that's why we were reaching out. So in that case, it's gonna be way more relevant because it was based on data.
Nice. Love it. I think this is a great way to close today's webinar. Eric is saying no one cares about the how, they only care about the results. That, I think, this summarizes the entire webinar. Mic drop right there. But yeah, Sander, I want to thank you so much for tuning in today, for coming with all of your knowledge, sharing your secret sauce and everything. Once again, congrats on the results you have achieved. What is the best way for people to contact you in case they would like to know how to send call outbound in the European Union, which is obviously has its own challenges because of GDPR, but I guess you already mastered that. So where can people contact you?
LinkedIn, with my name, Sander Aavik. Easy as that. Like, if you have some questions, if you need some advice, perhaps I can also help with that as
Yeah.
much as I have time.
Perfect. Love it.
But
And
in general, like, we have a team of 5 in the email marketing department. So yeah, we can definitely help.
amazing. And thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. We're sorry if we couldn't cover all of them. We get a lot of questions. But if you have more questions, also, you can contact, of course, Sander, but you can talk to our support team, support@instant.ai, or via the live chat, and we'll be happy to help you as well. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. We'll have more of these sessions, and who knows, maybe we can Sander again in the future to talk even further about like call emailing in the European Union or all over the world. But once again, we wish you Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year ahead, and just a very successful 2025 with your call outbound. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next year.
Bye.